Been looking forward to this one, man. I'm pumped for it because you're one of my favorite guys to watch, and watching you, your interviews, your fights, you're always smiling and you're always happy.
Thanks, man.
I'm interested to see where all that positive energy comes from. Is there someone that kind of rubs off on you like that? It's just the way that you've been in your life.
Yeah, I think that's just been the way I've been my whole life. I think my family is pretty, positive, and it helps out too. I don't have a lot of grumpy people around me, I guess. So
That's dope, man. Do you find that? Do you notice it helps you going into fights to stay that relaxed, that happy, that I guess calm a bit?
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like whatever is more like you, or what I'm saying, whatever is like resides with you, or whatever is like how you act on a daily, if you can perform or stay close to that attitude, I feel like close to performing, it makes for an easier transition.
Yeah, man. I feel like I can just say people got to be true to themselves and end the podcast right here, because that's what it all comes down to.
Exactly.
True to yourself, especially I think in a sport like MMA, where there's probably, for some athletes out there, some pressure to act a certain way because of the perception of the sport. You got to be mean, you got to be tough, you got to be a dick and all this stuff. Whereas, I mean, if that's not who you are, don't do it, because you're not going to have fun.
Exactly. You just setting yourself up to, just come off in genuine, or, just not be comfortable in, being yourself, so it's just not a good way to live, I feel like.
I know 2020 has been a good year to you, MMA wise, sport wise. Yeah. How are you feeling today, man?
I'm feeling great. 2021, I'm feeling great. I'm feeling positive. I feel like I'll make a lot of strides in 2021. So we did like a vision plan or whatever for 2020 before everything hit in 2020 or whatever, or the pandemic stuff. And our word for 2020 was what? Abundance. And so like that was kind of our that's what we wanted to accomplish in 2020. And I feel like despite all the the crazy things that are going on in the world, we accomplished that, and we're still working toward that. This year, our word for the year is going to be growth, and I definitely, I feel like we'll definitely be able to hit that. We'll be able to, grow in some areas in our life.
For me, I can kind of picture what growth means, but what did abundance mean to you, or what did you mean by abundance when you set that out beginning in 2020?
So we just want to be like, so abundance and like love,
gotcha.
Be there and be, have a present in the moment. You know what I'm saying? My wife is giving me notes, but yeah, no. So we want to be present. We want to be like, with our time, you know what I'm saying? Like feel like we have more than enough, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Dude, for sure.
And we try not to, surround everything around money. But money was kind of like a stressor in our lives before. So that was also, something we wanted to, build kind of our net worth, or, be abundant and not having as much debt as we had, you know what I mean? So in that aspect, and also in like career wise, and with her career wise, and kids, or our kid, abundance. That was just what we were.
Love that, man. I love that. That's so awesome. Mm-hmm. I got to imagine there was a bit more pressure you felt given kind of the financial situation you described. I know you got the kids now and your wife and everything. Did you feel that? Did that kind of weigh on your shoulders?
Me and my wife laugh about it now, but we were seriously, contemplating like if this career choice was the right choice for me. There was a point in where I was like doing, pretty much jiu-jitsu competition, like me gambling on a $20 jiu-jitsu competition was like a gamble for us, because we didn't have the $20 to spend to make money, for a cash prize, you know what I mean? So and that's kind of how fighting was for me, especially all the way up until the end. Like my first Bellator contract, pretty much, if I didn't win, we would still be in the hole, and if I did win, we would come out even on my Bellator. So like for me, like it was a lot of pressure. Like for me, I feel like I could probably live, in a cardboard box, but as I have a family, as I have a wife, you know what I mean? I feel like they don't deserve, even like, because they're making sacrifices that they didn't, you know what I'm saying? They didn't ask for. So it puts extra pressure on me. My wife did, an amazing job at kind of not making me feel like, hey, like you need to pick up the slack or anything like that. But also like I see the bills and I see, stuff piling up, so so it's just tough.
I totally get that, because you want them, even though, like you say, you yourself could live in a cardboard box, you want them to feel comfortable. You want them to be happy. And I got to imagine when you know that your family, your wife and your kids are happy and they're comfortable, that helps you focus on MMA 10 times better.
So much more. And that's where I've pretty much felt this whole year. Like, as far as my family, my immediate family, and it started to extend toward my not my wife and my kid, but I'm just gonna be smiling more, because if I like the happiest I've probably felt was giving the check like after I won to my wife, so she, you know what I'm saying, so like I can see a sense of calmness, I can see that sense of like, or when she told me like I'm not worried about money right now, and that's like for me is like huge, because
that's better than any belt probably.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. So it's so huge, like that she's comfortable, or she feels comfortable enough, that in what I'm doing. So that's super. Like when she said that, I was like, man, God, I could literally cry right now. You know what I mean? Like shit, damn, like damn.
It's more than a sport. It's more than a sport for sure, man. This is your livelihood, right? This is your life, and so much depends on it. So I'm happy that you're at a place, obviously physically, to perform the way you do, but mentally as well. Because I think that's what the whole podcast is about, to shed light on not just about your physical potential, it's on your mental potential as well.
Okay, cool. Hell yeah.
You mentioned the kind of the vision goals, I guess, that you set out beginning in 2020, beginning in 2021. When did you start that? Was 2020 your first year or way before that?
Yeah, 2020 was my first year.
Gotcha,
so 2020 was my first year doing the vision board, and it was also my first year of doing affirmations. And they've paid off. I feel like exponentially. So I'm an avid believer in them now. Especially with all the things going on, I feel like that was one of the reasons having those goals written down just kept us on track, so I'm an avid believer in it. I've told all my family, everyone everybody that I love, like I'm telling them, the things that I'm doing. I feel like with planning, stuff out and all the stuff I'm like learning, I'm trying to like make everybody,
Sure, dude. Yeah. Who inspired you, or what inspired you to start this process?
So one of my teammates, Sergio Pettis, he
heard of him?
Yeah, you've heard of him. Yeah, he did a post once, and it was like it was like, I'm confident, fearless in all that I do. It was something along those lines, and like I'm no longer a procrastinator. I take life by kind of like by the horns or something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but he said and I talked to him about it, and he said he had been doing this to kind of rebuild his confidence, and kind of saying what he wanted to accomplish, and that was like the end of 2019 where I seen it, when I seen it, and then 2020 I started doing it, and then my coach, he was also talking about it because he he had Paul Felder do it, and I talked to Paul Felder about, doing it, about the affirmations, and he was like, yeah, he started his like right when he got, or a little bit past when he got to Rufus Sports. So, and his career has, took off since then. So,
yeah.
And I think it's just, about like intentionally, like setting your mindset to do, or your mind to do something, being intentional with your energy, and I feel like it works. I can't say it don't work.
Man, I myself, included, I was one of those skeptics of affirmations, and like, man, there's no way this can work. Like, I'm just telling myself something. Like, what's that going to do? But when I'm on that treadmill or out for a run, and I tell myself like I can do this and why I'm doing this, and I give myself that reasoning, it's like it just takes over. I can't explain it, but.
Exactly. And
don't be a skeptic is my message to people. Don't be a skeptic.
Don't be a skeptic. Try it out, man. The worst thing you can do is, fail, but then, you're still progressing forward because that won't work. You can try something else. But I was also doing it without even knowing. So before, when I was wrestling in college, I used to always, I would make my password, like my password to like Facebook and stuff would be I don't want to say it, but it would be something around.
I get the vibe
because it's still my password. But no, it would be something around me being a national champion. So I would always write it out. I would write it out. All the time, but not thinking about it, and then I end up doing it. And I'm doing it twice. So. I've always kind of done that type of stuff, but I never like put a name on it. So it was good to put a name on it and be more intentional about what I'm doing.
I'm gonna make a note to myself to do that, to make my password a positive affirmation, because man, that's like the most brilliant thing I've heard.
Yeah, because you're always putting it in. You're always, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that I think that was the like the key to me, or my affirmations were. Like I'm saying it all, and I'm just brainwashing myself into thinking positively. But the more I say it, the more it becomes like a part of me. The more it becomes, I believe it. The more I'm confident in it. So yeah,
I love that, dude. Being around guys like Sergio Pettis and Paul Felder, like you said, I know you mentioned kind of the positive affirmations has been one thing that's kind of rubbed off on you. Anything else comes to mind or just maybe speak a bit about kind of how integral it is to your development to have guys like that around you and your coaches and everything?
Yeah, I've always said, like I'm lucky to be at Rufus Sport. Not only for the things like in fight, the techniques and things of that nature, but it's like the things like that people don't think about, like besides punching people in the face, like so I can be ready for the big stage opportunities, like the mindset or things you don't think about, like how warm the lights are, or how hot the lights get, from the production of the big shows, how the canvas feels, or, how to handle, even with Anthony. Anthony's gave me like some of my, after I lost my fight, he was like, he took me in the back, and he was like, never believe how good people say you are, and never believe how bad people say you are. You know what I mean? And that's like always like stuck with me. And it's like I'm always progressing, like no matter what like the fans have to say. If I'm great, you know what I mean? I'm putting that past. I'm working better. If I suck, I'm the worst fighter in the world. I'm putting that past my head, and I'm working to be better. So it's all those like intangible things. Tyron also, I spent a lot of time, I feel like, retiring Woodley, and I feel like I can learn from their mistakes and their failures. One of the other persons or people that I started with was Jens Pover, and Jens Pover, one thing he told me that he wished he would have done right was never, like he fell in love with the punching and fell in love with like knocking people out, and forgot to implement or even, challenge people with this wrestling. And I feel like, things like that you don't think about, like after I'm winning a bunch, or after I'm, you know what I mean? A champion, it's those little things outside of the cage, how I should be handling my money, how I should be, handling my social media, my obligations. You know what I mean? It's priceless, the information that I get from these guys. So.
For sure, man. And like I just mentioned at the end there, falling in love with the striking. I think that's relevant, super relevant for someone like you, kind of obviously your background in NCAA and wrestling, 2-time champion, all that good stuff. I have to imagine that, I guess maybe I'll ask, did you feel like maybe your introduction to the sport, or even till to this day, people put you in a certain box of a wrestler and you couldn't strike?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I feel like I'm not as so much in that box, but, people are starting to, find out that, I'm not just a wrestler. Most times they got to find out the hard way. But I think for the most part, people are pretty aware of my my willingness to be kind of anywhere the fight goes. But yeah, I definitely in the beginning, and I feel like I would lose out on, especially in the beginning, I would lose out on fights, but people be like, oh man, he's just a wrestler. He's just going to try to hold me down. He's a wrestler. He's a good wrestler. He's just going to try to hold me down. You know what I mean? So I mean, that's nice to like surprise people a little bit. But at the end of the day, I'm good at wrestling. I can't help it. I'm going to use it to my advantage, given the opportunity.
It's again circling back to staying true to yourself. Like, this is your strength. Use it. Don't be worried about what other people think of you.
Sure, exactly. They ain't paying my bills, man.
I love that. When you kind of think back to your career to date, maybe back to college, introduction to MMA, to who you are today, where do you feel like you've kind of grown the most from a mental perspective?
Mentally, mentally, I feel like I've grown more at being able to like adapt, or being able to like accept the good with the bad. You know what I mean? Whereas in the beginning I was confident, but I wasn't as confident like if things didn't go my way. You know what I mean? So I feel like now
during the fight, or like outside the fight, or both?
During a little bit of both, but mostly during the fight. During the fight, I'm okay with I'm not the best wrestler that day. Maybe I'm not the best striker. Maybe I'm not, but I'm okay with navigating those situations, and I look forward to navigating those situations. Whereas before, I was more like I had to be like the front runner. So I'm better at wrestling, so I shouldn't give up a takedown. I shouldn't give up, you know what I mean? I shouldn't make mistakes, whereas now I feel like it's okay. It's okay if I make mistakes, because I'm going to figure out a way to come out on top, So that makes me more confident with what happens throughout the fight, and letting the fight, take care of itself. Train my butt off and let the fight let my training, and obviously I'm a look and see what I should be doing, or talk to my coaches and see what I should be doing. But letting my skills kind of take over.
For sure, man. Yeah, it sounds like you've kind of grown a lot in terms of bouncing back from mistakes. Like, one mistake won't end the fight, right?
Yeah,
whereas
exactly.
It's obviously, I think, really easy to have that mindset, which is why a lot of fighters maybe don't excel to the level they do.
Mm-hmm.
This is true for not only sport, of course, but life in general. Like, one mistake isn't going to define your life.
Exactly. I seen a quote once that was like, nobody counts how many shots, Jordan missed, you know what I mean? He's failed millions of times probably, but you just keep trying, you keep shooting up them shots, until, they go in.
Was there a point in your career where the mental side of things really seemed to, like, it kind of clicked how important this was? It could have been college, like when you first started MMA, maybe after your first loss, but was there a time in your career where it kind of clicked, like, wow, this mental stuff it's no joke, like it's gotta be to be
honest, it was just this year during that quarantine time. So like, I'm always like in the gym training, and I'm always like I guess physically, like at tip top shape, always, you know, trying to like push myself physically. Even I didn't before like watch a lot of film. I didn't like study a lot of former fighters. You know, I didn't do a lot of that stuff. I tried to be very hands-on with all my training, like getting my body, like my goal was to get my body to do things without thinking, kind of. And since the quarantine like set us down and like I couldn't go nowhere, I couldn't train, I was forced to do all those things that I couldn't do. Like I had to like read books about mixed martial arts, read freaking or read about affirmations, start, you know, writing stuff down about what I want to do, you know, watch more video, do all those things that I didn't do because I was too busy like trying to physically be better. Yeah, so just this year is when I like really started diving in, or this last year I should say. Is when I really started to dive in on the mental aspect of the game.
And I think that's true for a lot of people. This is the time where it kind of clicked in their mind, right? I kind of like compared being in quarantine to being injured because like you can't go to the gym, you can't do the things you want to do, right? You're left at home and you gotta do something. You can't because there's somebody out there that's not taking that day off. So you better not take it off, right?
Exactly. And I feel like that's 100% true, man. Just like being injured, because it's so annoying to me being injured. I'm sorry.
Brief interruption.
Yeah, but like being injured is so annoying because you can't progress the way you normally progress. You know what I mean? And so like it forces you to either be better at some other things that you're not as good at, or do nothing. You know what I mean? And I mean that's what separates a lot of those guys. You know, you should be progressing every day any way you can. So quarantine definitely, you know, forced me to do it, you know.
Yeah. No, same, man. I it makes me think back to probably the toughest injury I had to deal with was in high school and playing football, and I like broke my hand and my fingers and whatnot. My hand got all mangled up, and it was my first year playing football. I was so excited. I was like so down with it, and then I was out for the season, right? And I had two choices: either do nothing and be a bum, or actually like work on something. And that's when it kind of clicked on me. Even like just because I'm injured doesn't mean I can't make progress. And then I've kind of noticed progress in other sports when I was healthy, but that's always something I try to talk to a lot of the kids about that I coach or consult with. I'm like, if you're not like if you're injured, a little sore here and there, like obviously to a certain point you got to push past it, but there's also that point of like take the day off and like do some yoga, do some meditation,
actively recover. Yeah, exactly.
There's a little kind of game I like to play here as part of the podcast where I have a collection of quotes.
Oh, snap.
There are 23 quotes. We won't go through all 23 of them, but I'll get you to pick a number between 1 and 23, and I'll read you the quote, and then just tell me kind of what the quote means to you, and maybe if there's a time in your career where the quote kind of really rings true.
Okay. I'll pick the number 21.
21. Nice. This one is actually from Holly Holm, who, if you're an MMA fan, you'd obviously be familiar with her. But she said, put your passion first and everything else will fall into place.
Yeah. I would definitely say that's true. And then again, like I'm just now starting to see the benefits of this. Because I mean, there was a time too when I was like pretty much, you know, like I'm always smiling, but there was a time where kind of the financial stuff was like the financial and the family stuff was kind of like getting to me mentally, you know, because I felt like things weren't happening. Like I was trying to force things to happen. You know, I moved to Milwaukee, you know, to set me up to make big changes fast. And you know, I was 8-0, and then I end up like losing a fight or whatever, and like to get back, you know, it was like hard for me to get a fight. Then it was hard for me to be excited in the fights I was getting. And I was getting to a point where I walked up to like UFC matchmakers and was like, hey, like people telling me I'm I'm next, but I keep seeing other people being next. Like, what's up? You know, like I'm tired of this, pretty much. You know, but yeah. I think the me when I finally like was like over that and was like, you know what, I am in love with this sport. You know, and I love competing. And that's when it like paid off. When I let go of like what I was trying to accomplish and just focused on me bettering myself and realizing, you know, what I really wanted to do, which was fight. I think things start, you know, paying off, and they're paying off, you know, more and more. The more and I realized that I needed that like that passion that I had in the beginning to like get me through those rough times to pay off later on. You like my work ethic and my passion in the sport. I'm paying dividends from the techniques and the things I had learned while I was kind of down for now. So
man,
that definitely holds true.
For sure, man.
For me.
Kind of sounds too like a bit of a shift in your mentality from being outcome focused to process focused. Like you weren't necessarily too focused on the outcomes of your fights, for example, or thinking ahead too much around to the outcome.
Exactly.
Just that day to day of am I getting 0.1% better today? And if I am, it was a good day.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Because I was focused on the end result, all the end results. I was focused on the end, you know, instead of being present in the moment and focusing on that 1% every day.
And that's, again, to kind of circle back a little bit again, when I talk to younger athletes and consult with them and stuff, that's something they struggle with a lot, unfortunately. But like, I think in this day and age of social media, like how you said, like, as you're getting more and more well-known in the sport, like you get more fans, more people check out your stuff, you get more good comments, you get more bad comments, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really hard for some kids out there to block that because social media is still part of our society now, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't have the magic answer. I don't know if anyone has the magic answer until like, otherwise you're just deleting it. But besides that, I don't know if there's a magic answer. I think it's more about, like you said, or like I know, like it's been apparent that you've done, is just change your mindset so that when those things do happen, you can deal with them.
It rushes off your shoulder. I mean, the good comments and the bad comments should brush off your shoulder because you're confident in who you are and what, you know, you're doing for yourself, you know, or the progress you're trying to make.
I don't know if you listen to Gary Vaynerchuk at all. It's the guy that like, he's like some social media guy on Instagram, like motivational entrepreneur guy.
I think he's like a shorter guy. He cusses a lot, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I always reference him because he's actually the guy that inspired me to start this podcast, and he's huge into like, don't let the negative or positive comments get to you. Like you see a positive comment, cool, move on. See a negative comment, cool, move on. It's all about having that even keel approach to life. That's like, I think a good place to end this podcast. But just to say like, man, that's if I could recommend one thing to people, it's that, like, stay even keel. Don't get too high. Don't get too low. Because the higher you get, the harder the fall. And the lower you get, the harder it is to get back up.
100%. 100%.
I appreciate your time, man. This has been super informative for me. And I think for a lot of people out there, it'll be informative for them. Any plans for fights 2021 going forward?
Yeah. So Bellator is, I'm hoping they're scheduling in February. So late February, nothing in writing yet. Well, they haven't scheduled anything yet. But yeah, hopefully February. If not, you know, the sooner the better.
I'll be on the lookout, man, because I'm excited for it. I love watching you fight. Huge fan. And this has been a blast, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, man. It's been a blast. Been a pleasure for me too.